Just the other day I was telling you the story of placing an order with Automotive Superstore, and this is actually on the other channel, on the Old Man and the Bus channel, but I'll put a link in the description for you. And I placed the order on 31 May with advice that it'd be ready for collection on 3rd or 4th of June. And check out that other video and you'll see that it didn't turn up, and then I got no response to messages, etc. Anyway, I finally got a message to say that it's ready for collection, so I'm just heading there now. And today is, I think, the 17th, so that's, well, that's 2 full weeks since they said it'd be ready for collection. Now, I've ordered stuff from China that's come faster than that. Maybe that's where it's come from. Anyway, what I've been puzzling about lately is the classification of photographs, in that as my interest in still photography has grown, I find myself taking a lot of photographs, but also with different cameras and in different places. So unlike the video, which tends to be for a particular purpose, you don't take random video. They're inevitably for a story that I'm telling on YouTube. But the photos are entirely random, you know, in that I might just see something interesting and then I'll stop and take a photograph of it. And so the difficulty then, of course, is how to classify them so that I can find them again. I have no idea how a photographer might do this, unless, of course, they are working on a particular assignment, in which case you can, you know, dump them in that folder. And then, of course, you have the film photography too, which, of course, at the moment is just really stored on film, yet to be developed. But back to the, I'll just ignore that voicemail, I'll get that. Back to the classification. So at the moment I've kind of got a general folder, and then put things in, but once again, how do you name them? You know, do you name them by the location or the kind of photograph that it is? You know, if it's a flower, do you put those all in a flower folder? Or do you put them all in, I don't know, Lake Wyalong folder because they were all taken there? But then if you're looking for, say, a storm, how do you know which folder to look in? So I think what we need to do is come up with some kind of classification like the library system, you know, or books with the Dewey Decimal System, whereby books about particular subjects, you know, have a classification. And so I wonder then whether in fact you do that. But of course it would need to be quite complex, given that they could be taken at different times, in different places, of different subjects, in different years, on different cameras. And so you probably end up with a sort of a 36 character reference number, which you could never find out. And then, of course, there's the arduous task of actually assigning a number to it. But anyway, look, at the moment I've got a folder that's called Wandering, and And I guess you know what that's really about is that as I just go places, for example, like today where I'm going off to the automotive superstore to collect my order, I might take a photograph. And so what I tend to do is put them all in a folder marked for the location where they were shot. So, you know, there might be a folder for Canungra or Wivenhoe or Lake Wyalong or Bow Desert or wherever. So what we're going to do anyway is have a look at some of those photos, because I have been taking quite a few, including some black and white, which I took up at Mount Tamborine the other day. So let's have a look at a bunch of photographs from all over the place, and I'll sort them into destinations or locations for you, but I'm sure you can figure out which ones are the black and white ones.